Hello, my beautiful flowers. So, today I wanted to do something that isn't maybe necessary, but I know for some of you, you may want this. It's here for you if you just want to listen, and it's here for you if you actually want to take the advice. So, I am somebody who's been writing since I was 9 years old. I wrote my very first short story when I was 9 years old about a bunny who got bullied by bears, and it turned out he was the king. It's a goofy story, and I actually want to revamp it and actually publish it eventually. So I write quite a lot, and so I kind of wanted to give you guys a starting basis on how to write. So I have my computer with me, and it's fine if you do not have a computer that you can write this with. Um, you can just have a simple notebook and pen or pencil. Pencil is better so that you can erase any mistakes. So the first things that you want to do is you want to have some type of a plot. You want to put this on a separate piece of paper, which is just planning. I don't always do that, but it is a good idea to do that. I'm sorry with the glare in my glasses and me not looking my best. I'm honestly just trying to relax. It's Friday. I'm done school for the weekend, so just bear with me. So, you want to try and figure out the first step is what is your story about? What's going on in it? And so I'm going to give an example of the story that I'm coming up with. My story is about a character who is living his normal life until he realizes that he is being read. That's the basis. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to do the entire book yet, and that's okay if you're the exact same way. If you have this great idea, or even just an idea that you really want to see come to life, you do not need the ins and outs of the details right in your brain right at once. You just need that initial idea, and then it will slowly come to you as you build your characters, who they're like, all of that. So, my story that I'm going to be writing is about a character who is just living his normal life, as I wrote, and he realizes that he's being read by us, the reader. And then this whole idea of the reality comes crashing down of like, what? I'm just I've I've just been written? None of what I know is true or real? What? I personally, if you ever watched it, The Truman Show is a big inspiration for me because I love that idea of like slowly realizing all these things in your life are fake. Um, so now why is that not working? I'm gonna think of who my character is. I planned it to be a male. Um, your character can be whatever. It is truly depends on what your story is about. Because it could be a girl, it could be a guy, it could be any of the in betweens, it could be an animal, it could be a half animal, half human. It depends on the genre. I don't know exactly what genre mine will be going into, but I want mine to be a. This is also what you're going to write down, what your main character will be. A 23-year-old male named. Now, you probably heard jokes about it all the time, but I assure you it is worth it in all of your best interest. Look online, look up boy baby names or girl baby names or baby names. And if you really want to go unique, then put unique. And then if you want a specific genre, like if you want to write a fantasy book, look up fantasy book names, ideas. don't look, because it might pop up with actual like books with those fantasy names, and you don't want to copy somebody on purpose. So look up ideas on Pinterest, on Google, wherever you can find something. And I'm probably not going to do that in the video right now, but do that for your character if you don't have an idea. I assure you it will work. You'll find something that you like, even if it might take a long time, because usually if I can't think of a character's name and I look online, it takes like a long time for me to find one that I really, really resonate with. So that's okay. So, a 23-year-old male named something. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do. Now you're going to write what he's like, what he does, who he hangs out with even. Um so my male works as a barista and is quite friendly and chatty and likes to be with his close circle of friends. Something as simple as that. I don't know why I like to resonate with like baristas and like those really homey kind of areas. I might change that later on, not too sure yet. And then you can write additional details. It doesn't need to be that short. It could be as long or as short as you want it to be. Because once again, you can build on this as you go on. This is just the initial planning to make sure you have an idea so that you don't start writing and then realize that you have nothing. So I might add a girlfriend later on. I might not. I do plan on maybe making him fall in love with the reader. But I'm not entirely sure yet. So that's the initial planning, because you don't need the side characters yet. Those can come on later in the thing, and they're not important to the story per se. Like they can be depending on what the side character is to your story. If they, in your story, are an important character in any way, whether they're a main character or not, write about them. If they bring importance that they could change the story, write an idea of who they are. If not, then it doesn't really matter, because then you could just say, oh, hi Grace, you're a great friend. And it doesn't matter. But if Grace is trying to win the heart of the main character and is battling the reader kind of thing, then she's an important character that you should know her details to. So that's the initial planning. Now, when you get to writing a story, write it however you like. I do suggest on using, if you want to eventually like show people this or publish it, to use spelling checks and honestly, grammar doesn't always matter with reading. Like certain things, like yes, you should always use like proper grammar use, or proper comma, not grammar, proper comma use, so that people can be, because the whole point of commas is to know when a sentence pauses. And so that's an important thing. But I sometimes, with certain stories that I've made in the past, have used more commas than necessary, or more periods necessary. Like I've made very short and condensed sentences to try and really emphasize like the seriousness of what I was writing. I like to do that quite often because the way I write, I like to make it a little bit more serious, no matter what it is. But it's really up to you. If you want to make your sentences long, then you should learn how to use semicolons and commas properly, so that you can make those long sentences and it not sound weird. Because sentences that are too long without those pauses will just sound like rambling. Like, okay, can you stop talking? But with commas, it sounds a little bit more tolerable. Another thing is, I don't know if a lot of you guys know what this is, but there's such thing as a novella. A novella is a short novel where it has like, I think the definition of it is it's under 15 chapters. I think. Let me get back to you. So after looking it up online, I think I get it. Oh, that's my dog. It's shorter than most novels, but longer than most short stories, if that makes sense. So there is quite a few chapters, but there's not like a ton that it could be in like this thick book. Now that's a great place to start. If you are new to writing, a great place to start is to come up with a simple concept, a simple storyline, and then create it into this small story. Not super small to the point where it's like it's 2 pages. If you want to start there, that's completely fine. Like, start wherever you feel comfortable. But if you want to actually get into writing like novels, a great place to start is novellas, where you're writing chapters, but you're not writing like an entire book that would take months to write. Give me 1 second. Now, if you feel ready and you want to write an entire chapter book, that's fine. I personally started with novellas. The first novel, technically, I wrote like tiny stories, but that was in my early childhood, so I don't really count that. When I really wanted to get into writing, the first thing I ever really wrote, I was 12 years old, and I forget what the name of the book was called, but it had 8 chapters in it. And it was short and cute, and it came in this little thing, and I loved it. But now I look back on it, and I'm just, it gets weird. You will look at these old writings, and you will just laugh at yourself in a good way and be like, oh my gosh, look how much I've grown. You will be proud of how far you've gone. Also, don't judge yourself. If you take like months on a novella, don't worry. We've all been there. I cannot even explain how many projects I have that I've not even come close to finishing. But I assure you, you will get there, and I believe in you, and I hope to see some of your writing someday. Bye bye. I love you guys.